There's a black fungus spreading across bourbon country, and it feeds on whiskey vapors. The people who live near it call it the devil's fungus. Hello, and welcome back to Aromatic Adventures by PJ. I'm PJ, and together we will explore the hidden histories of fragrance and discover how scent shapes the way we live, love, and design the spaces we call home. So, what exactly does black mold have to do with bourbon and thereby the fragrance of bourbon? Well, throughout bourbon country, which is most notably Tennessee and Kentucky, there's a black mold that marks the air where bourbon is aged. It has a fancy name, which you'll see here, and it's called whiskey fungus. This fungus was first discovered in the 1870s in France by a cognac distiller named Antonin Baudouin. He called it a black soot, and it's present, turns out they discovered it's present wherever this special alcohol vapor lingers in the air. When bourbon ages, some of the alcohol naturally evaporates from the barrel. Distillers call this the angel share. Yes, fragrance fans, I know what you're thinking. By Kilian, angel share, classic scent. Yes, we'll get to that. So the fungus actually feeds off of the vapor. And this same process by which bourbon gets its depth, its character, its warmth, it's actually leaving a physical mark on the world surrounding it. As American bourbon production increased, so did the warehouses, and so did the fungus. And what happens if you live in an area where there's a distillery? Well, you certainly don't find whiskey fungus to be poetic. It gets everywhere. It's on siding, on patio furniture, any outdoor surface, and even on trees. The upside is that it doesn't seem to negatively impact health, but it is unsightly and it is hard to get rid of. Homeowners near distilleries in both Kentucky and Tennessee got really fed up. One homeowner claimed that it cost him about $10,000 per year to power wash this whiskey fungus off of his home, just to keep it at bay. So some lawsuits were filed, many were dismissed, but in 2023, a Tennessee judge halted the construction of another barrel house by a popular distillery. One attorney said, "This angel share is becoming the devil's fungus." Some people proposed a filtration system, but distillers, nope, they weren't having it. The distillers felt that a filtration system would change the taste and character of the bourbon. You see, when bourbon is aging, it's not just aging, it's breathing. And a filtration system would remove its breath and remove its soul. And you don't want to do that. And then some people propose, well, just move the distilleries. But the distilleries employ a lot of people and bring in lots of revenue. It's a sticky situation. In the quest for tradition, who's paying the price? Quick break. Did you ever wonder what the difference is between whiskey and bourbon? Well, I'll tell you. All bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. It has to do with what they call the mash or the mixture. In order to be bourbon, you need 51% corn, and it needs to be aged in new charred oak barrels. That's why bourbon has the scent of sometimes toasted wood, caramel, vanilla. Meanwhile, the scent of whiskey can vary. Luckily, in the fragrance world, bourbon leaves a more sublime mark. It's cool, it's a little bit classy, a little bit dangerous, a little bit rebellious, and I love all those elements. When I smell bourbon, I think of the Roaring Twenties, I think of the Jazz Age, and of course, that was during Prohibition. And I think about these people that were risking it all just for a sip. And maybe it wasn't just the sip, maybe it was that smell, that warm, woody smell that's a bit sweet. And I love that scent in my home and on my body. Anytime I see bourbon as a note in any sort of fragrance, I gravitate toward it. And yes, let's talk about Angel Share by Kilian. Now, on Fragrantica, Angel Share has over 20,000 votes and a 4.37 rating. It is not bourbon, though, in there. It is cognac. A little different, but it gives you the same feeling overall. I mean, it's like sitting in a leather chair. It's smooth, it's rich. Angel Share is a clear winner in the fragrance world. Everybody loves it. Today, I am wearing Speakeasy by Harlem Perfume Company. Speakeasy is a little bit spicy and woody. It's got some tobacco in it, as well as cardamom and guaiac wood. Um, Guaiac wood tends to go hand in hand with a bourbon note. That woody note, it's a very rich woody note, and they play well off of each other. And then there's a surprising scent by Gallagher. It's called Lavender and Bourbon. Yes, lavender with bourbon. It's also got a touch of pineapple and rosemary. Reviews are really high on this one. It's a really surprising mix. Some people don't really get the pineapple in there. Some people do get it, and they like that it lifts the fragrance up. It makes it less heavy. Um, Bourbon can be a bit heavy, but with the rosemary and pineapple, it seems to elevate it and make it brighter. And then there's Ellis Brooklyn. They have a scent called Après, which is juniper and cedar blended with some bourbon. This is definitely on my wish list. I would love to try it because I also love the scent of juniper. And again, the juniper, it gives it a little bit of earthiness, but it's also bright and fresh at the same time. I love the scent of bourbon in my home. It is a rich scent. It hugs you. I think it's a good hugging scent. And as a Scentsy fragrance consultant, there are a handful of fragrances that I love for my home that have bourbon as a note. The one that I think of immediately is called Warm Winter Night. That one is it's bourbon, of course. It has a splash of citrus and some brown sugar. I don't really detect the citrus. If it's there to lighten up the bourbon, make it less heavy. But I get the brown sugar and the bourbon, and the two blend together so seamlessly. It's just smooth, and the name says it all. It's a perfect scent to warm in your home on a night that is in winter and you want to feel warm. I find it sensual, I find it cool, and as much as I like to blend waxes just to get a custom scent, this is one that I just don't want to mess around with. I think it's perfection, simply put, and why mess with perfection? Why? Another scent that I love is it's one that's got bourbon, of course, but it's got some maple syrup and some apple mixed together. And that is a great fall scent just because of the maple. It makes me think of maple trees and leaves turning. Again, it's a warm scent, a rich scent. And I tried mixing that with another fragrance, another wax fragrance called Oats and Honey, and I was playing into the maple syrup theme, and I thought, well, maple syrup with oats and honey, that would work really well. And it does. It really does. The oats and honey temper the bourbon. It's not as strong. I think it increases the effect of the maple. The maple is a little bit stronger, um, but it's a cozy, yummy scent. I love it in my kitchen. And then there's one that is bourbon and plum. Bourbon and plum go really well together. And I added a bit of tobacco. There's a story I did a couple months ago all about tobacco. And I have a tobacco wax bar that's very soft. And I added a cube of it to actually, I did a 1-to-1 ratio of this and the whiskey. It's called Whiskey River, actually, but it's, again, whiskey bourbon. But it's got the bourbon and the plum, and the tobacco smoothed it out, made it a little bit lighter, um, airier, dare I say. Bourbon you can do so much with. Most people think of bourbon and they think of just blending it with other warm, rich scents, but you can put fruit in there too, as evidenced by the plum. Mix it with apple. Um, there's even that scent that has a bit of pineapple in it. Why not? Go for it. Bourbon, although it ages quietly, doesn't always age politely. It definitely interacts with the world and it leaves its mark wherever it is. Thank you for joining me on this aromatic adventure to Kentucky and Tennessee. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and please comment below. How do you like your bourbon? Do you like it with some sweetness, some woodsiness, or some spice? Thank you. See you next time. Bye for now.